Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. Bex here today to talk about how my 2020 reading and channel goals went and also let you know what my goals are for 2021. If you don't really care to hear what I have to say about 2020, I'll put a timestamp down below so you can just jump right to 2021. But first I want to reflect on how I did in the past year. The year obviously went very differently than many of us expected, but generally I was able to keep on track with my reading. My first goal was to complete my Goodreads reading goal, which I had set to 45 books, and I did complete that. I'll admit that I had to read some short books towards the end in order to make sure that I got there in time, but I did finish my last book on December 31st, so that goal was a success. My second goal was to read 4 500+ page books that have been on my TBR bookshelf for over a year, and unfortunately this one I did not accomplish. The only book that fit that particular description that I actually completed was The Story of Edgar Sawtelle, and I did not have a good time with this book, so maybe that didn't help with trying to push me to read bigger books, but this is the only one I actually completed. There were 2 other books that I started that fit this description, but I didn't finish them, so they don't count. My third goal was to focus on my TBR bookshelf and try to just reduce it down. I had 95 books on here at the start of 2020, and I'm happy to report that at the end of the year I hit 81 books on there. That's including 2 book hauls, one from May, one from November, which were small to medium sized, and then I also got 3 books for Christmas. So that's including every book that I got in the year, and then of course subtracting away books that I read, some that I've unhauled. So I'm very happy with how that ended up. I can tell that there's more space on the bookshelf now, which is nice. It was looking a little too crowded, and I think that visual was really what was pushing me to try and focus on it, so I'm very happy about that one. I also wanted to participate in the BookTube prize. This was a new thing for me last year. The BookTube prize is about to go into its 3rd year, but last year when I joined it was the 2nd year and the 1st year of a nonfiction division, so that was what I was particularly interested in, and I'm happy to say that I did also complete this one. I actually went above and beyond my original plan for that one. There are different rounds that you could volunteer yourself to read for, and so I read for the octafinals, the semifinals, and then I also chose to read for the finals. So I participated in 3 of the 4 rounds, and I actually really liked the structure of that, especially with 2020 being such a crazy weird year. Having that structure of the BookTube prize I found very helpful. There was always something to look forward to every couple of months to see what books were moving forward. I also created a video to go with each round that I participated in, so overall very pleased with how this one turned out. My second to last goal was to read the 10 books for 2020 that I picked out for myself, and this one I got close with, didn't quite finish it. I started and completed 8 of the books. I started but did not finish And the Band Played On by Randy Shilts, so I am still reading it. I'm not very far in, but I haven't given up on it or anything. It's just a very large book. The last book is one I didn't even start, and that was Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry, and I do hope to read this one in 2021. My final goal was more particular to the channel, and it was regarding adding closed captioning onto my videos. I wasn't sure how stringent I was going to be about this. In years past, I've captioned every video, whether it was just me or Les and I together. In a previous year, I decided I would only put closed captioning on videos that were just me because it's really hard to do with 2 people talking back and forth. And this year I uploaded 25 videos that were just me, and I put closed captioning on 22 of them. The 3 that I didn't do were all longer videos. One of them was a vlog. The other 2 were vlog-ish style, so I just decided to not do those ones. I had left this goal very open-ended because I wasn't sure how it was going to go, so I will say that I succeeded on this one too. I didn't achieve my 2020 goals to 100%, but I never like to beat myself up if I don't get all of them. They're just sort of something to help guide me through the year. I think the only one that I get angry about, at least with myself, if I don't complete, is my Goodreads goal. So that's why I was really pushing myself towards the end to actually finish it. Now, moving on to 2021, my first goal, as you might guess, is my Goodreads goal, and this year I have set it to 40 books. I decided to drop it down just a little bit based on the fact that I was reading a lot of bigger books for the BookTube prize and trying to read some 500+ page books, and it just didn't quite work out. So I'm hoping if I drop it down to 40, I'll feel a little less pressure towards the end. Maybe I've just made it harder on myself and I'll be at 35 books at the end of November and I'll have to do it again anyway, but we'll see. 40 is where it's at. My second goal is to read my 10 books for 2021. I won't give a breakdown of all of them here, but you can go check out that video if you want to see what those 10 books are. Because I don't do monthly TBRs, I find that this format works best because it sort of guides me without being too restrictive. I can pull books that I'm super excited about that I just got, and I can pull older books that have been sitting there for a while but I still have that urge to read, so it's a good mix without really making me stick to something month by month. My third goal is to read 2 books that are longer than 500 pages that I've had on my bookshelf for over a year. I went for 4 last year. That did not happen. When I did a similar goal in the previous year, I also didn't quite meet it. I did read other books that were over 500 pages, but they didn't fit that particular criteria of being from my TBR shelf. They were either brand new or I read them for the BookTube prize, so hopefully 2 is just the right amount and I can reach this one. My fourth goal is a new one and it's pretty general. It's just to reread books. I want to let myself reread some books this year. Not even let myself, tell myself that I should reread books this year. I'm not a big rereader. I may reread 1 book in a year, if at all, so this will tell me, remind me to do this because I've really been wanting to reread Jane Eyre recently. I read it 11 years ago now. I read it for school and I've just been having that urge to go back to it and see how I feel about it now that it's been so long. And the other thing that I really want to reread this year is The Chronicles of Narnia, and maybe do a series review video on it. That is to be decided, but I would really like to reread this series. I read them when I was 9, and I've seen the movies for the 3 that exist, not the really old versions, but the like mid-2000s and later ones for The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Prince Caspian, and The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and I enjoyed those movies a lot. This would be a reread for me, and I feel like part of the way to get myself to actually do this is to put it into my goals. If I do reread other books during the year, that's great. That's why I wanted to keep it more open-ended, but I would really like to make sure that I get to Jane Eyre and The Chronicles of Narnia. My second to last goal is to participate in the BookTube prize once again and produce videos for each of the rounds that I do read for. I am once again reading for nonfiction. As I said, I enjoyed it a lot. I loved the structure of it and sort of the excitement of finding out what books were moving forward, so I really want to be a part of that again this year. So this will be something that will probably be easily met, but sometimes it's good to have those goals. My sixth and final goal for 2021 is to put closed captioning on the majority of my videos. This is something I've been doing for years now, and although last year I wasn't so sure how it was going to go moving forward, obviously with doing 22 out of 25 videos, it went well, and I will once again do the same thing where if it's a super long video or if it's more of a vlog style, I probably won't put closed captioning on it, but generally, the majority of them will have them. YouTube does give you some stats on who's watching with subtitles, closed captioning, and it's never a lot for my videos, but I know it's incredibly helpful to certain groups of people, so I do want to keep doing it as much as possible. Alright, those are my 6 main reading and channel goals for 2021. Let me know if you have any particular goals you want to share with me down below, or let me know how your goals for 2020 went. Did the pandemic help or hurt you? It really seems to be a toss-up between people whether or not it was beneficial to their reading or it really hurt it. As always, all of our links are in the down bar. You can go check those out if you feel so inclined. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you later.